Hi, everybody. Welcome to this afternoon's webinar, virtual panel, whatever it is we're calling it. I am so excited. I am Krista Rossman with Traditional Home Magazine. I'm the Senior Design and Style Editor, and I am so excited to have three of my great industry friends with me here today. And we're really all supposed to be well, we would have just been leading each other, I guess, in High Point this week. So that, as we know, did not happen. So it's great to just see you guys this way. Super excited. I'm going to just maybe if you could raise your hand as I introduce you. First, we have Rachel Cannon, and Rachel is in Baton Rouge. Then we have Lisa Mendy, who is from Charlotte. And Libby is in the Hamptons, Libby Langdon. So thank you, Libby, for joining us today.
Thrilled to be
so
here.
Excited to have all of you. So let's get right to it. For everybody who's watching out there, we're going to keep this to about 40 to 45 minutes. And I am going to open it up for questions and answers at the end, and we'll be happy to stay on to answer those. We're going to have a great talk for a while talking about sourcing and style, and then we are going to move on and do something a little fun at the end, and then we're going to do questions from everybody who's watching. So thanks again, ladies, for joining me today, and let's get started. So sourcing and style, wow, what a bizarre 7 weeks this has been, right? And who saw this coming? It's thrown all of us into a loop. I know that the four of us are still working in different circumstances, certainly, and in different ways, but we're all still, green light, foot forward. And when it comes to sourcing and when it comes to getting things, I mean, we're all used to FedEx and delivery trucks and things doing what they need to do, but that's not happening right now. So let's start off by kind of kicking it off and giving a shout out to those companies who are helping you all fulfill your orders, and how are you adjusting and making that work? Rachel, we'll start with you.
I'll start. I will say one of the things that I was very appreciative of is that all of our vendors have been in constant communication, like letting us know what their situation is, when they expect to be opening back up in manufacturing. But one of the greatest things was that Kravitz sent out a message to everyone and said, we will hold your orders. Like if it's already been produced and it can't go on a truck at the moment, or if your warehouse is not receiving, we'll just hold it until everything goes back to normal. That's been a huge, I literally had a panic attack because we had like bar stools coming for a client, and I just thought, where in the world are the bar stools right now? Because they'd been put on a truck and the warehouse was closed. And thankfully that was another company that we got that all sorted out. But it's just really nice for companies to be getting out in front of that, and sort of just so that we don't have to worry where our stuff is, where our client stuff is. That was really, really incredible.
I've had a great experience because as we've been going through this, thank goodness for technology and us to be able to even sit here and have this kind of conversation. I've been able to continue to have meetings with clients, and what we've had really great help with is, when a client is picking a wallpaper or a fabric that I've mailed to them, the vendors are being great about being really quick to get me samples of the wallpaper they picked, the fabric they picked, so I can have those samples as well. So Kravitz and Tebow and so many different companies are really helping me still have the tools that I need, even though I'm not in my office. And I think for a lot of us, we do projects all over the country. So, remote design is something that we're used to, but I'm still always used to having that moment of going into the base of my office and being able to pull stuff. But my office is in New York City, and I'm not going into New York City right now. So some of these companies that have been really great about sending samples and rug samples, and like Jaipur had a great sort of thing they were doing, and they said for the next like 30 days, if you want free rug samples, we'll send them to you. And so we ordered tons of free rug samples, and they showed up here. So I feel like people are still giving us the tools so we can keep it moving and keep it all going.
Great.
Yeah, and I have to give some love to Curry & Company because they're 85 to 90% in stock. and they have been listening to their customers. They have been a little more lenient on drop shipping and meeting the needs. And so they are holding on to their employees. They have their order entry people working from home, and they're shipping 3 days a week. So that's pretty amazing. And people like International Shade. I talked to Cindy the other day. She shipped 50 orders last week.
Right.
Louise Gaskell is still making her custom lighting and is shipping just like she normally does. And I have artists who are still doing commissions and shipping things. The galleries are doing virtual tours.
Mhm.
The showrooms are doing virtual tours. And that's one thing that I've been really excited about are some of the virtual tours. I watched one yesterday with made goods. And so there's a lot of ways I think that the companies are really stepping up to the plate to help us.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so great that we work in an industry where everything is so visual and beautiful, and it's great to see
Yes.
well-designed objects on our screens as opposed to spreadsheets and numbers, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move on to the next questions. We have been stuck in our homes all day, every day for the last several weeks. And what that means is people have been examining their homes and they understand this doesn't look so nice over here. And maybe it hasn't been a big deal because we've been busy and haven't been home, but now it's a big deal. As people start calling you after this whole thing lifts because they want to say, help, I need help in my house and we need to redo some things, what sort of movements do you think will emerge from this? And I want you to get really specific on design movements, because I feel like certainly at the magazine, we can tell when something is a really hot trend, and because we publish it in the magazine, and then our huge audience out there sees an issue of traditional home, and then they go to a designer and they say, I want this. And then the cycle starts all over again and we don't ever get anything new. So what trends do you think, and I don't like the word trend, but what movements do you think there will be visually that will be different as a result of this?
I think people are going to start putting up walls. Like because I will tell you, and I don't know about Lisa and Libby, but people are not waiting until this is over to call. Like they're calling now because
They're calling
right now. And they're like, and we've been doing virtual consultations with people. Walk us through your house with your phone or with your iPad. The thing that we're hearing over and over and over again is our home really is not designed for us to live in it. It's designed for us to be somewhere else and to be here sometimes. And so now that they're all in their homes, they don't have enough storage. They don't have enough walls. They don't have enough quiet spaces. Like everything is in this big open floor plan. And I mean, it serves a purpose, but at some point, I don't have kids, so I can't speak to this, but I can only imagine the parents who have been home this whole time doing their jobs and homeschooling their kids and being short order cooks and, housekeepers. And I can't imagine what that must be like to be in that open floor plan right now. And so that is the thing that everyone has said over and over and over again is we have no privacy in our homes. And so I think, and I actually hope that the open floor plan trend is going to get resolved in a different way, hopefully moving forward. And I think rooms and walls are not a bad thing. I don't know why we all got convinced that they were so bad to begin with, but I hope that that's where we're headed with it.
I mean, more walls, more opportunity for great artwork, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
I feel like one thing that we're going to see as a movement for sure is not just more walls, but people are going to care more about what's on their walls. And I think that is stemming from a few different things. I think we're sitting here watching a nightly newscaster do a newscast from their home, and we're sitting there going, that is what their living room looks like.
Yeah.
Bare walls, not a lot of artwork. And so I think it's twofold. I think the first part of it is we're seeing a mass declutter right now. Everybody's doing a deep dive into closets and buffets and living rooms and things like that. So that's starting to sort of peel away some of the gunk. And I think what's going to happen, and we're going to see this, we're going to see a lot more wallpaper. We're going to see bigger artwork. We're going to see huge groupings of artwork. I think walls are going to take center stage because we're starting to see them so much more. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and she said, oh yeah, my brother-in-law, he's like has some kind of job in science or whatever. And she said, he could care less about what his home looks like. Well, he went on Wayfair and he bought some pillows and he bought some art because he was like, I never had anything over my sofa. I never had anything over my sofa. So, like Wayfair is what is its own thing, but I just think people are going to care more about their walls now than they ever have before.
Interesting.
Well, I think that people have been having family meals more, and I think the art of dining is back. So I think as we gather around the breakfast table or the dining table or whatever, it's more important than ever. And I think we've realized that we've been missing that. Everybody's on the go and everybody's going everywhere. And so I think you're going to see people more excited about setting the table and having, a nice place to sit with their family. And the other trend that I'm seeing, as well as what you ladies are saying, is exercising at home. I think the exercise room is going to be more important than it ever has. And we're streaming Peloton and, all these things, but our family has been doing family yoga like a couple times a week. And we're doing it in my master bedroom because we don't have an exercise room. And my husband said the other day, we need one more room on this house. Yeah. And I was like, uh-oh. And what else are you going to do next? And he said, and outside the master, we need to finish that upstairs to have an outdoor terrace because we need more outdoor space. What if we get stuck home like this again in the fall? So I think exercise rooms, outdoor spaces, it's going to be, those things are going to be important to people. But the biggest thing is people have realized their homes are really important.
Yeah.
What about the general aesthetic of design? Because everything for years has been very edited, clean, sleek, a little contemporary with not a lot of stuff. And now I kind of feel, even before this happened, that people thought, okay, I've gotten super edited and I need to weave some objects, some prettiness back into the picture. And we saw a little bit of that at High Point last time, the return of brown furniture, right? Stained furniture instead of painted furniture. Do you feel like that will all lift design into a place of being more cozy instead of that clean, stark white kind of look that's been so popular in the last handful of years?
I don't know about here because I'm in like the very, very deep South. And so trends take a very long time to catch on where I am. So you're saying like wood stain is back. Like wood stain never left Louisiana. It's always here. So we are still sort of kind of fight against you don't really want those oak cabinets. You actually should paint them. Like oak is not a nice wood. It's not a pretty showcase kind of, but what's interesting about that is when I have friends who come in from other parts of the country and like my photographer specifically, she always will say, I just love how they build homes here because there is a lot of like wood beams. Cypress is a native wood in Louisiana. And so there are lots of cypress beams and brick for flooring. And so I think probably my thought would be maybe not so much editing in Louisiana, but we do love texture and we do love texture does add a coziness. I am still trying to get people to edit a little more where I am. So I don't know. I think we lag a little bit behind the rest of the country down here.
Okay.
I mean, for where I am, I think in general, I think it depends on the age of my client, but I would say even some of my older clients are still really enjoying something that's kind of pared down and a little sleeker and a little cleaner. That being said, I think if they are going to bring in other items, those items are going to need to mean something. You know, the
Yes.
days of just pumping stuff in and having filler, I think that is, I don't see that happening right now. I think things with meaning and things that count are going to matter. But for me, just where I am, whether I'm doing a super modern apartment in New York or a more traditional kind of home in the Hamptons, that kind of sleeker, cleaner, I think is still hanging on.
Still a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was going to say. I think it depends on the personality and the, you know, the geography, because I think having been in our home, some people want it more zen. So they may
Yeah.
be paring down more and bigger windows because they want to see nature. So I'm not necessarily feeling the, you know, the cozy, you know, all the real
yet.
cozy. And also, even with the walls, I think some people are going to want big open spaces because when they entertain, they don't want people right up under them. And so I think it's really the personality and also the geography.
Yeah, for sure.
So now let's get super specific and talk about the home office. Wow, in my career, the home office has changed so much. It used to be a real room that had a big armoire type of unit that could house a really deep monitor before
Yeah.
flat screens came into our world. And then
Huge.
there was no home office, right? Because everything became wireless and mobile, and your home office was in your bed, even though you're not supposed to do that, or your kitchen counter, wherever your laptop, wherever you could carry your laptop, and you didn't need a room. And that gave us all of those pretty little wonderful writing desks that are pretty to see.
Right.
Well, now, wow, this has changed everything. And people who never worked from home are working from home now. And, you know, it's not even about the individual employee, but the employer too, understanding that this may be a very viable way to conduct business, regardless where you are, and maybe cut back on travel costs for one-day meetings and that sort of thing. So let's talk about home office and what will the final verdict be when because that's definitely going to be a conversation that I would think that you would have with your clients depending on what they do. And how does that change the narrative of what you're offering them from before? Because maybe that was sort of an afterthought kind of space before. And you
Right.
can correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, Krista, me personally, I'm a good example. My husband and I share a home office. He works from home, and I've been working from home for the last 2 years. But during this, I have moved to the guest bedroom because of calls like this, you know, our Zoom calls and our webinars, because I can't control what he's going to do during, you know, something like this. So the only way I can is to move here. So my question for my clients is going to be, do you need more than one home office? And, you know, we've been doing tech nooks for a long time with clients, just those little nooks that you can have a, you know, a laptop or a printer and things hidden but nice. I think people are going to need to have more than one home office if you have more than one person in the family working. And I think you're going to have those conversations about soundproofing. And I also think people are going to want to have one spot in their home office that they can do webinars, so they're not recreating that scenario every day. You know, I think companies have figured out that the webinar, the Zoom calls are perfectly good for meetings instead of flying to Timbuktu. So I think that is something that we will have to address, and I think people are going to be more interested in that. I seriously have been thinking about changing this guest room to my personal office because I need that space. If you could see the guest bed with all my samples on it right now, you would understand why.
Yeah, I have the same situation where I have my office in New York City, but on Thursdays and Fridays, I'm working out here in Sag Harbor, and my husband works from home, so we share the office. But I would say with my clients, one of the biggest requests that I feel like I always get, and it really depends on the size of the home, but so often people want their home office to do double duty. They want it to also be a guest room. They want it to be like, 11, it's the 15 pounds in the 5-pound bag. They
Yeah.
want it to do a million different things. And so I think I'm still going to have that challenge where people are going to say, okay, I need a home office, but it does need to have a sofa, or it's got to function in more than one way. And I think as a designer, it is a challenge to make something really beautiful and something really livable and put all of that stuff in it. So I think if there are rooms over garages and things like that, some of those, like what we call a lot of times a bonus room, is going to become a bigger home office, guest bedroom. And what are ways as designers that we can make those spaces just really beautiful, but a place where you would want to go and work as well.
Yeah.
Right. My clients are a little bit different because I've been working more with introverts lately. I'm an introvert, and so.
And we love your podcast for anybody.
Thank you.
Listening to your
The
podcast.
shared office
Good.
space is one of those things that, like, when Lisa said that, I'm like, oh, that just makes me cringe, because I know the feeling. Like, I have been coming to my office every day because I'm the only one here and the rest of the team is remote. And it's been heaven. I mean, just days of uninterrupted time and the phone's not ringing. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so productive. So I agree. I think people are going to start to really think about, like, what do I actually need to be productive? And for a lot of my clients, it's not sitting at the dining room table with the kids or with their husband on the phone, or
No.
a completely separate room. And interestingly enough, this year alone, we've actually done 2 home offices where we've designed custom millwork, and I mean, down to like clients wanting 2 monitors. And so I think it's going to be more of a, like, truly, what do you, like they've both said, what do you actually need to do your job completely at home? Not as a remote, I don't have everything here with me, I can do some of my work here, but what would it be like to actually fully do my job from home? And for a lot of our clients, that actually does mean being able to close a door, not a nook in the kitchen, not, something tucked under a staircase or just a writing desk. It's very, very highly focused on function and sound and productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And then to that final level too, that is organization, because we all, sort of covet these beautifully executed, organized pantries are always the ones that sort of make my heart flutter. But we see those images on Pinterest and on Instagram, and they're so fantastic. And I think a lot of people who may call themselves organized think they're organized until they're in the middle of a pandemic at home for 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 weeks. And then it's like, okay, I need to rethink what organization is. And I see that, it's already such a popular category that people are focusing on, but I think that will continue to expand when it comes to the home office.
Right, for sure.
Okay, so this quarantine has taken a lot away from us. And in our industry, a lot of things that we, all of those moments that we consider to be little luxuries, we don't always have anymore because we're not going to restaurants, or we're not going to the gym, or just meeting up with people. And Libby, you touched on this a few minutes ago, but I think this is very important to talk about all of the stuff that we have in our homes. And look, we've been on this downward paring down trend of stuff for the last few years now. Thank you, Marie Kondo, right? She's made us rid our houses of all of that clutter. But back to designing your home and calling a designer and needing accessories, needing that filler. What do those conversations sound like now, and where do you go to find more meaningful things for your clients? Or what questions are you asking of them to say what things are important to you, and how can we create this beautiful environment with beautiful objects, but not just a random piece of thing because we had a space on a bookshelf to fill.
Mhm.
Who wants to go first?
Let's let Libby do it since she kind of brought it up.
Start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that one of the first things that I think is most important, and this is something that a lot of times as designers, sometimes I hear designers say, oh, they don't want me to accessorize. They don't want me to finish the job. They just want the furniture. They want the big things, that kind of stuff. And I think what's important right now is that designers really know, understand, and can easily communicate our value in being able to take things that mean something to the client and then curate some other things that we think would work. And you know, for a long time, people were saying, oh, the internet, they're not going to need interior designers. The internet is not coming to style your wall unit, people. We are coming to style your wall unit. So in that respect, I feel like as designers, you need to be able to communicate what you do, how you do it, how you style a wall unit, show before and after, show what it looks like when it has no accessories, show what it looks like when it does have accessories. And I do have a couple neat resources and things, like there's this place in Charlotte, you probably know them, Lisa, House of Nomad, where they just curate really special, neat things and things that are just out of the ordinary and kind of unexpected. And so for me, finding pieces like that and then peppering them in with other pieces that the client have, that's part of the fun of it. But I think the thing that gets me over the hump, the conversation with the client, is letting them see how valuable that is, and how valuable it is to have someone who knows how to style.
Yeah, and I don't think our job is that different now. I think always we're trying to have the best accessories, whatever they are. And I typically go shopping in my clients' closets and places to find out what they collect. Do they have art from trips? Do they have things they've inherited? What do they have that we can use as a base? And like Libby said, then add to that things that I feel complement that. But I feel like the average client this day and time doesn't want a lot. They don't want a lot of tchotchkes. So if your grandfather left you 50 brass lighters, I recently saw a designer who curated them in one big piece of art and framed it in lucite. And I thought that was brilliant. So I think that's how, as designers, we can help our clients to hang on to things that are important to them, but maybe recreate them so they speak to the aesthetic that the homeowner is striving for. So that's really what our job is.
You're exactly right. And it's a conversation that I've had with my clients from the beginning, that I understand that the appeal of running into a store and being able to buy all this stuff for $150. And the problem is when you get home, all this stuff is this big. And you keep adding to it and adding to it and it looks so cluttered, which is why I feel like the edit has been so important lately. We've always stressed with our clients, you want fewer, nicer things, which typically means you pay more money for them and they're actually bigger, honestly. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So rather than little bitty vases, we're going to pay maybe twice that and get some really big ones, and you only need 2 of them in a bookcase. Echo their sentiments completely on, I want to know what's special to the clients, and I want to know if you have something sentimental, because that's important. That's what makes it a home. That's what makes it feel comforting and cozy. And so love the idea of framing the lighters in a lucite. I would love that type of opportunity, because I do think it's that reimagining of something. They probably just had them sitting around and going, I mean, what am I gonna, I want to keep them, but what in the world am I supposed to do with all this stuff? Well, you're exactly right. That's where a designer's vision comes in. And I agree with you, Libby, 100%. The internet doesn't have anything on an interior designer. I'm sorry.
No.
That's right. And also what's in their bookcases might not look good in your bookcases. And so you can't copy that bookcase.
Right.
I do think that and maybe they're not even people who would hire you guys as professionals, but I do think there are a lot of people out there who, Rachel, to your point, they go out and buy a lot of stuff. And
Yes.
again, that goes back to the luxury of a lot of us can, you know, and so you end up with all of these things that, I mean, we all know how it is to be at a flea market or an antique shop and you feel like you've got to buy it because if I don't buy it, somebody else is going to buy it. And so you just
Right.
do it right then. And I think there's that idea of wanting everything right now. And that's what leads, they just want it done.
Yeah.
Because we've all lived busy, you know, overscheduled lives. And maybe as we all reflect on this and slow down a little bit, we'll have more time to put thought into when
Yeah.
we're buying.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So too. Lisa, this next question is specifically for you, and for anybody who's watching. I did ask your permission if I could bring up this topic. You have experienced something that has been extremely tragic, and hopefully a situation that anybody who's watching will hopefully never know themselves. And I think in this industry, there can be a guilt factor because what we're dealing with all day, they're sort of first world problems. I mean, our issues are, you know, whether or not it's the right level of down in the sofa cushions or maybe how fancy the chandelier is. And that's what you guys are shopping for your clients. And that's what I'm writing about. And I imagine for you, there was a time, and I'll let you explain to the audience what that is, but I imagine there was a time when the newest collection of fabrics or whatever just didn't have any meaning to you. So at this time, when so many people are experiencing a tragedy or a loss, and not all of us are, but we're at home and we're maybe reflecting a little bit on the meaning of life and trying to slow down, how do you allow yourself to enjoy all of those beautiful things that can kind of be like, really, is this what I'm doing, instead of being a healthcare worker, saving lives, or teaching 5-year-olds to read? How do you deal with that and allow yourself to enjoy those things again?
You know, Krista, I had this conversation the other day with my next door neighbor. They're both doctors, and they were talking about how hard it is right now. And right after that, I was on Instagram and I saw where my friend, designer Elizabeth Benedict, was losing her mother. And she was, you know, appealing to people to stop trying to sell me things. And, you know, when you're in that moment of grief, nothing is right. Interiors, food, nothing is right. And I remember when I lost my son, for about 3 years, I did not work. I didn't care about anything. And that was just part of grief. And that's okay. And it's okay to be in that grief. But what I realized later actually happened because of one of my children. He came home from school one day and he said, "Mom, didn't you go to school for 8 years?" And I said, "Yeah, between my first degree and going back for design school, yes, I did." And he said, "Well, Brian Collins' dad went to school for 8 years and he's a brain surgeon." And he kind of had this dumb look on his face. And I was like, oh, well, I guess what I do is meaningless. And so I really pondered that. And what I came to realize is, it isn't meaningless. What we do matters because we're creating homes. And, you know, that down pillow might not matter when you're in the throes of grief. But I can promise you one thing: if that pillow is not comfortable, it will not support you during that grief. And so we need our homes to be a special way so they can support us when we are struggling. And comfort us and nurture us. And as designers, that's our job. And I can't tell you how many people who have written me, clients, and thanked me during this pandemic because they love their homes. One of my clients is a surgeon, and she wrote me the other day and said, you know, we love our new house and we're so excited. And so what we do does matter because we bring joy. We bring a way to nurture and comfort, and that is all very important. It's not meaningless.
No, exactly.
I think it's important right now too with design is, you are walking that line where it's important to know that a beautiful home means a lot, and when you love where you live, that manifests itself in every aspect of your life. But I think it's also important to not seem like you're out of touch and you're not seeing what's going on around the world. And so I think where it's shout outs for charities or any ways to help, I think can help you balance that. So it's not feeling frivolous and like you're not really in touch with what's happening and all the tragedy that's happening. So I think you can sort of walk that line both ways.
Well, and the great thing about this industry is that it's so charitable and so philanthropic. I mean, all of us, each of us can name countless organizations that the design community supports, and that's great. Okay, so back to sourcing, and thank you, Lisa, for sharing that personal story. So we know that there's this wave coming that's a focus on the home, and that's what everybody's thinking about. How do you educate your clients as you get a new wave of clients coming to you saying, oh my goodness, these last 7 weeks, I do not like the way that my house looks and I want to hire a designer? How do you educate them about value? Again, Rachel, back to your point, if they've been shopping for $150 worth of stuff that they really can't use, I think that there's a lot of sticker shock when it comes to design, and people are intimidated by the process, and then they don't understand what things cost. So once you bring those things in and say, wait a minute, okay, you haven't necessarily loved your environment during this time, and we're going to make it beautiful, but this is what the expectations are from a financial perspective. Because again, I think I think people don't understand what things cost.
They don't. So this is a kind of a twofold question. And for me, that's actually the follow-up to learning what their problem is. And it's never really just that they don't like the way the house looks. There's something deeper. It's kind of getting to the root of what the issue is. Is it that it's too open of a floor plan and your house is so noisy and your nerves are fried and you need some downtime? Because we can help you with that. I think the sticker shock, if you just go right in with it's $10 million, like everybody's gonna be like, oh, thank you very much. No, I'll move right along. But if you're willing to have the conversation with them beyond just we hate our color palette or we need to update, and you really dig deep and you start to focus on what is the family dynamic, what does each person need out of the house or the space, it starts to become less about cost for them, because cost and expense are two different things. It's going to cost you your sanity to continue to live this way, is what they start to realize. The expense is something completely different, and everyone has a budget. Even the people who, are bazillionaires, they have a number that they don't want to go over. And so being willing to be very open with them once you address the deeper lying issues, and then you can possibly move to the money conversation. It's a lot easier to sell because you're not really selling at that point. You've already helped them see what the root of the issue is and how design plays a role in addressing it. But to me, the best way to do it is just be very honest and say, the work that you see on my website or that you see on my Instagram account is between this and this per square foot for furnishings. And is that what you had in mind, or do you have a different number in mind? And a lot of people are like, oh, okay, well, we thought it would be around. I can tell you almost every time it's double what they think it's going to be, every single time. And that's you can kind of go in and just say, whatever you think you're going to spend, double it. I prefer to have a gentler lead in to that conversation with people. And I think in my early days, I struggled with that because I did start talking about money early on, and it's easier, and it shows your value if you're willing to sort of put that conversation to the side first and then talk about what is the actual problem. I can tell you, I went through a divorce a few years ago, and I have recently remodeled my kitchen since then, and it is life affirming to walk into this space that is bright and light and beautiful. And I mean, I would literally come home and just like hide my eyes because I just thought this kitchen is the worst. It's dark, it's tiny, I can't move around in here. And it honestly kind of represented a relationship that was not very happy for me. Although I got the house after the divorce, I knew I was going to make it. And so there is something about the process of the transformation. It's not just a transformation of the space, it's a transformation of your life, of your heart, of your outlook. I mean, truly, I am a different person than I was. And part of that is because I invested in my space and I allowed my space to be part of that healing process.
Yeah,
And never has buyer's remorse with beautiful design. It's not like
No, I don't think you do.
regret.
Yeah.
well,
One thing I would say that kind of speaks to what Rachel was saying is, I always say as interior designers, I think I'm a good listener first, I'm a problem solver second, and I'm a designer third. And listening to what a client really needs is what helps me create something for them that they didn't know that they needed.
Yes.
And I think building trust is one of the most important ways to get them to help invest. And so when it comes to sort of selling myself, I don't sell myself. What I've done is made a real effort to have my clients review me and basically give me testimonials like, it was great, we couldn't believe it, she did this, blah, blah, blah. And then when the client gets to see that, and then I start having conversations with them, and I do the same thing, kind of figuring out what do they need before you get into the money part of it. There's a chance to have a connection, build some trust, and then by having testimonials and things that people can actually go read and that someone else has written about the experience of working with me, it keeps me from having to get out there and sell myself. And you know, they're able to see what the budget range was with each testimonial and each review, each client review. And so that sort of helps set the table as well when you need to get that conversation going.
One of the things I do if I ever have a client that is kind of questioning the budget, I tell them to go to like Restoration Hardware and load the cart with every item that they would need for that room and to look at the total. And that is a cookie cutter room that anybody can go online and buy. But what I'm doing is a custom room for them that fits their lifestyle and supports the way they want to live. And when they can see that, a lot of times they're like, wow, I just didn't realize how expensive things were. So I think it's a good exercise to do if you are getting ready to work on your home and you're trying to figure out kind of a budget. Do that and realize that can be a baseline that you know that you've got to invest that amount of money. Just changing one piece in a room doesn't change the whole room. You've got to have the elements. And I would rather a client work with me in stages. And let's build the room, and then they, you know, if they have to buy in stages, they do. But that way you get a better outcome and a more professional look, and everything works well together. So that's what I suggest.
So that's a great exercise. What a great idea.
Yeah, great idea.
That's where people tend to land, right? Restoration Hardware. Yeah. And you're not getting anything special there.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately. Well,
and it's
that's other conversation. So we all aim for this lifestyle of ease. We want things to be easy and casual, but over time, I feel like casual has, maybe we've gotten a little too casual. And I think sometimes people confuse being casual with what's convenient, because it doesn't, I always try to relate this to fashion. It doesn't take any more time to put on a skirt than it does a pair of pants, right? I mean, these days it's hard to put on a pair of pants after 7 weeks of eating things that I should not be eating. But the point is, it's not necessarily easier to be casual. It just might be more convenient. I don't know. Where do you guys see the level of formality going? Do you think, and we've already discussed maybe bringing back floor plans with actual rooms versus these open floor plan sorts of situations, do we think that things will get a little more formal and buttoned up as well, or no?
I don't think buttoned up, but I think because people have been home for these 10 weeks almost sitting on their name that shall not be repeated sofas and they're killing their backs, I think hopefully what's going to happen is it's the same thing as fast fashion. It's disposable. Yes, you can go to Forever 21 and buy something that looks exactly like a Gucci. It's not well made. It's going to fall apart. It's going to last you maybe one season and that's it. And I feel like similarly, the casualness has led to this disposable design. I cannot tell you the number of people who come to my office and say, we don't want to spend a lot of money on this room because the kids are just going to tear it up. And I'm like, no, that is literally the opposite of what you should be doing. You should be spending more so that they can't tear it up. So I think not so much formal. I don't see a return to like very opulent interiors, but I think there's going to be a return to quality. And I hope that there will be a return to quality. And if that does include, maybe a little bit more of a less laying around and jumping off the backs of the sofas in people's homes, then awesome. That would be great. A lot easier. But yeah, I think people are starting to realize they probably should have invested a little bit more on those pieces that they use day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the old mama in me comes out when I hear them say that, because the first thing I say is, then you need to teach them that they don't jump on the sofa
Yes.
and that they take care of things, because the way we train children is the way they'll take care of things as adults. And so it's really important to have that respect in your home. It shows respect for your parents and the home itself. But I'm with Rachel. I think that using performance fabrics and things that are durable so that we can live well in our homes. People have kind of gravitated away from the living room. So the family room is having to serve all the purposes. And with this pandemic, I think people are just anxious to have friends in and entertain. And so we want that one room to be beautiful and luxurious, but it's also got to function. So, we're going to have to buy those fabrics that will last but are beautiful. And you can buy performance velvet that is beautiful, So I think it's a matter of knowing where to use the fabrics that you need. If you have a room that gets a lot of light, then you need maybe a fabric that is protected against sun, or maybe you need to treat the window and double line the drapery with English bumps so that it protects from that, and maybe not use silk at that window because the sun will eat it up. So you just have to know where to put the products, and in doing that, it can make a house luxurious, but it can make it live casual. So I think it's a mix of the best of both worlds. And I think that's really what we want now. I think that's where the trend is headed. And it's like Rachel said, we want beautiful things, but we want them to function. So
I think also, rather than something that's quite so casual, I think let's face it, I'm not an athleisure person. That's not my jam. But I think the people that are athleisure people, well, you've been in athleisure for 7 weeks. So when we come out of this, you better put some clothes on. But I think sometimes it's what I feel like we're going to really see is more of, kind of speaking to what Lisa and Rachel were saying, I think less than casual. It's more an easy elegance.
yeah,
It's an ease. It's something that is functional. It's performance fabrics. It's spaces that work for, your kids, your dogs, your friends who drink red wine. And I think, to be perfectly honest, staying in is going to be the new going out for a little while. Yes. And so I think there's an opportunity there. And I think there's a great way as designers for us to be able to take that, not sort of, dance around it too much, but I think to let people know you can create this easy elegance to your home and it's going to function for your lifestyle.
and it's going to last. That's
Yeah.
it.
I think
It's gonna
Debbie
stick with you.
made a new hashtag. They,
What is the new hashtag?
The new hashtag is staying in is the new going out.
Okay, well that leads us it's a perfect segue to the final question. We're talking social media, and all three of you are so active on social media. But I think with Instagram, here's the thing. There's a certain level of pressure that accompanies it, because you feel like no longer do we just stroll through the farmer's market or go to a concert or a ball game. Your phone's there, you're taking a picture, you're letting people know where you are, what you're doing, and that your lives are fabulous. Like, right, that's sort of the pressure that we're all under. How do you think that will change now that people will be staying home at more? There may not be those opportunities as much. Here are my really bad food photography shots at restaurants. Why do people, I don't know why people do that, but I do that. Actually.
state fair, and I love it.
Oh yeah, your state
How
pictures
does
are great.
this change the way social media literally looks? And when I say social media, I mean Instagram and Pinterest primarily. How does that look? Do you feel like people will open their doors even further and let people inside? Because for one, I kind of like my own lives separated. I don't let people in very often. But what do you think that looks like on social media?
I think it will. I think it will allow us to. Libby's been doing great cooking. Demo.
Yes. The tuna
Watch
squaw. Thank
Yeah.
you, Libby. The
So
tuna squaw salad.
she's so natural at she's so good on camera anyway, but I love her family recipes she shares, and I look forward to that. And then I've been watching other people. I haven't been sharing as much because we moved into this house and started the renovation, and then we had water damage, and then we had COVID. So I haven't been able to share as much, but I want to share more and I want to see more. I think we all are just craving connection. So on whatever level that is, I think we'll enjoy it. And I think that Instagram's going to change, because I was on a call with a boutique travel agency the other day, and she said flights are going to be so expensive after they get over that initial, when people start back, that these people who've been flying to, do these great Instagram shots in Iceland won't be doing that anymore. Mm-hmm. And so I think Instagram photos as a whole is going to become more authentic. And I think that's going to be a welcome change.
I agree completely. Yeah. I was going to say, I think what people, more than just connection, I feel like for me personally, I want to be able to relate to you in some way. And if it's just perfect all the time, and your kids look perfect and your husband is perfect and you're constantly perfect, and that's not my life. And so I can't relate to that in any way. And I will be the first to unfollow. Like, I'm like, there's nothing for me here. Like, I can't get into it. So I think, I agree. I think, and I hope that people feel comfortable sharing that I'm an interior designer and my house is not completely perfect. The kitchen is the most perfect space in my whole home. The rest of it has yet to be done. But I do share my kitchen, and I think that has been, I think people like it. People enjoy that they get to see what I'm like. I'm not just an interior designer. I have a whole life outside of just that. And although I'm a lot like you, Krista, and I don't necessarily want everybody knowing my personal life, my business page is kind of doing both. There's beautiful rooms on the page, on the feed. And then in my stories, you kind of get the other side of it, which is that things are not always perfect. And I am very sarcastic, and I buy things to make myself feel better, and I don't always need those things. So I think I just would like for people to just, like, everybody just chill. Like, let's just be real.
It's funny at the magazine, because I can't speak to other magazines, but I assume that other editors have the same question asked of them, and myself and all of my colleagues certainly do. It's like, why isn't your house published in the magazine?
Oh
yeah.
my God.
No.
Because I know how much it costs. That's
my
why.
house is beautiful, but it's not, on the cover of Traditional Home, it will never be, probably. So anyway, thank you for that. Now we're going to get to the fun part. Lisa and Libby have both done this with me already. Rachel, you never have. So it's my little version of ESPN Final 2 Minutes. I don't even know if ESPN does that anymore, but I do it. So 21 questions. Rachel, we're starting with you. Stripes or gingham?
Stripes.
Libby, my favorite shade of blue is?
Cornflower.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't ask Lisa that question because I know hers is turquoise. Right, Lisa? Lisa, oak or walnut?
Walnut.
Rachel, I would like to plant and grow blank in my garden.
Artificial, because I don't do.
Hey, that works too.
And listen, this is what's so sad. My dad is a horticulturist, has a PhD in horticulture. I cannot, he literally gave me a plant for Christmas a couple of years ago. And he was like, you can't kill this one, Rach. You don't have to do anything to it. And I was like, hold my beer. A month later, dead.
Okay, well, let's give a little love then to our friends at NDI because they make beautiful.
Oh yes, I have NDI all over my house.
Yes, oh, they're the best, right? Libby, let's talk peonies. White, soft pink, or bright pink?
Soft pink.
Okay. Lisa, Lisa, sweet or savory?
Savory.
Rachel, peanuts, Cracker Jacks, or peanuts and Cracker Jacks?
Peanuts.
Libby, my favorite flavor of ice cream is?
Chocolate chip.
Lisa, leggings or pajama pants? I had to ask a fashion question in the middle of all of this.
Beach pants.
Leggings.
But yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with all of these new kind of pricey leggings. They're kind of great, yeah. I won't wear them out after this though, I promise. Rachel, hair or nails?
Hair. I don't do.
Rachel had her hair done today, not fair. Calling
My
you out.
hairdresser came to my house and did my hair.
So unfair. Libby, I'm so happy that blank finally was accomplished in my home.
Me?
Yes. Is there
Okay.
anything that you've done in your home over the 7 weeks that you're happy that it's done now?
Oh, yes. Organize my closet.
Yeah. Does anybody else, because I did the closet purge thing, that you can't take the clothes anywhere right now. So I have all of these bags sitting out and it's like.
Sell them on Poshmark. Sell them on Poshmark. I'm telling you. I have like $2,000 this year reselling my old clothes. And I just sold something and shipped it today.
Oh, okay. Good to
Or
know.
keep them in a bag for dress for success.
Or that.
Yeah, they're great. They're great too. Okay, Lisa, blank still needs some cleanup, organizing love.
Oh my God, this is too long. I haven't been able to clean up anything because I've worked every day since the pandemic started. So everything needs cleanup and love.
Okay, Rachel, I'm dying to visit blank national park. Because I don't think any of us are traveling abroad anytime. You're what?
I'm an indoor girl.
Okay. Libby, I've never been to blank, but I would like to go there.
Greece.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Lisa, my favorite Beach Boys song is?
Oh God, I can't even think right now. What is it? Song. Let's Go Surfing.
Okay.
Is that Boys Go Surfing?
Their songs are all about surfing, so that counts. Rachel, I can't ask you this camping question because you're an indoor girl. No, okay, so skip over that. Libby, if I was home teaching blank subject, my student would fail miserably.
Math.
Math, okay.
Same.
Lisa, if I could binge watch reruns of any like old TV show, it would be?
Lucy. I love Lucy.
Oh, right. There's so many Lucy episodes that have to do with interior design.
My favorite. I love it.
Like when she and Ethel they were going to restuff that sofa and the feathers went everywhere. Y'all remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Okay, Rachel, last question for you. Amazon, Netflix, or Hulu?
All of the above. Is that an option?
Libby, cards or board games?
Board games.
Okay, any special one?
Actually, puzzles.
Puzzle. Oh,
I
that's
love
nice.
a puzzle.
You love a good puzzle.
Yeah.
I saw something on Amazon, these little stackable trays, so you could kind of separate the pieces. And I don't know. I think I need that.
Okay.
I'm gonna order it. Yeah. I'll let you know. Okay, I always save the most important question for last, always. So Lisa, Mendy, this is for you because you are the girl who lives in North Carolina, and Libby's from North Carolina, but you don't live there now. So Lisa, there's no prize if you get this right, but if you get it wrong, we're gonna have a little talk. So Joe Exotic in The Tiger King or Michael Jordan in The Last Dance?
Michael Jordan and The Last Dance. That's
All right, there you go. All right,
Yes.
everybody wins. Go Tar Heels, go Bulls, go, yeah. I think he owns the Hornets now.
Oh, and
The
Chris, I
bat.
have to say one thing I forgot.
Yes.
Rachel's a fabulous cook as well. She's been doing
Oh,
cooking.
thank you.
Because
And
you do all of that great keto stuff.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
wonderful.
Thank you.
All right.
I love her tagline. She invites her friends over to cook and they have to do the dishes.
Although I'm having to do the dishes right now because nobody can come over.
Okay, well, thank you, ladies. So, oh, you know what? We have some questions, actually. Let's see. Thank you, Courtney. Missy says, are you all finding there is more business during this time since everyone is at home? And do you have any suggestions on capitalizing on this? You kind of already answered this, but for designers who aren't used to working at home, do you have any tips for things that they can offer their clients right now?
Virtual consultations. We've booked so many this month.
Okay. Okay, so let's do, everybody else is loving your earrings, Lisa. So,
Oh,
They're fabulous.
Wear these because I bought them in Venice last year.
oh, those are great. And then people are asking, are folks reaching out now for their outdoor spaces this summer?
I haven't had anybody yet.
I'm doing an outdoor kitchen for a client, and it won't probably be installed until August. But yeah, we put the order in on Tuesday.
All right.
I'm working on a couple of outdoor spaces and hopefully the plants are opening up mid-May so that production can start back. So,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Mhm.
Okay. Those are our main questions. We had some repeats there, so I'm just going to ask them once, but thank you all so much for joining me. I loved having you here and talking to you in person. Thank you for Communication Collective for hosting us, and I hope to see all of you very, very soon. I don't know which trade show it will be first, but soon. So everybody take care, health and hugs to everyone. And
Thank you.
thank you to everybody who watched us.
And thanks
Thanks,
for the
everybody.
great questions, Krista. You're amazing. You are the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks,
Take care.
everybody.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.